Rhubarb is an amazing substitute for the fruit that is pretty much non-existent at this time of the year. So I'm going to share with you in this video one of my favorite ways to make rhubarb into a tasty, delicious drink. Hey, I'm Nadia at Embracing Harvest, where you'll learn all about eating local and seasonal food, including recipes and tips on growing your own. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button below. I cannot wait for the first berries to show up in spring. Around here, that's usually haskaps and gooseberries, even June strawberries. But we're still weeks away from that, and I need a way to get my fix of the local and seasonal food in now. So enter the trusty rhubarb plant. This beauty is actually a vegetable, but it subs in for fruits perfectly. You may have heard of like rhubarb pie, rhubarb jam, and now rhubarb drinks. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can make a tasty rhubarb drink. I'm going to make it one with sugar, which is the way I prefer, but because I certainly try to avoid sugar a lot of the time, and you may be doing it completely, so I want to give you an option for a sugar option and a sugar-free option. So I'm going to be using stevia to sweeten the sugar-free option. So I'll show you both variations and you can choose the one that's best for you. So here's what you're going to need. You want rhubarb, a little bit of lemon, some vanilla. If you have a vanilla bean, that's great. Otherwise, you can use vanilla extract. Sugar, if you're using it. If you're not using sugar, just hold off and have some stevia on hand for later. And if you want to, a couple of cloves. It's actually a really good addition to this, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to. And some water, and that's it. So we're making a concentrate here. It's not so much, it's not just one drink. So we're putting in a little bit more effort at the start, but we're gonna have rhubarb drinks for weeks, if not months in the future. So it's a little bit of work now, but you'll get big payoff later. First thing we wanna do is chop up our rhubarb. We wanna just chop it up into smaller pieces because we're actually gonna be cooking it in the water. We're gonna soften it, and if it's chopped, it will just cook and dissolve that much easier into the water. And then get yourself a pot. We're going to add in the rhubarb, water, sugar if you're using it, and the cloves, and then the lemon as well. Essentially, we're going to create like a concentrate. We're going to add it all together and boil it and get the water to absorb all of that delicious rhubarb flavor. And if there's sugar in it, it will also be sweetening it at the same time. If you don't have the sugar, no worries. You're just going to be boiling the rhubarb. We want it to soften, and just let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes, covered on the stove on low heat. We're just really trying to seep those flavors in. And if you're not using sugar, if you're going the sugar-free option, no worries, just use all the ingredients except for the sugar and do the same thing. Just let it come to a boil, bring it back down to a simmer, and let that rhubarb soften. After the 20 or 30 minutes, take it off the stove and let it cool down a little bit. You can leave it in the pot for the next couple of hours if you want to, like even half an hour. It'll just keep allowing those flavors to sort of meld. But if not, no worries, you don't have to. Essentially what you're gonna do either right away or as soon as it cools down, strain it and take out all the solids, and you're gonna have a beautiful pink concentrate. But don't drink it straight as it is. You're going to wanna dilute it in some water or vodka if you want to, but it's a concentrate. You're supposed to be mixing it with something else. So I like to mix the concentrate, like let's say, I don't know, 3 tablespoons, 2 to 3 tablespoons with a glass of water. It's nice, but you can play with whatever variation you want. You might like a lot stronger flavor. You might like just a little bit, kind of like a flavored water. So start with like, I don't know, 2 tablespoons in a cup of water and see how that is. You can always add more. And if it's too much, you can just add more water and dilute it. Like, you can play with this really easily. And because it's going to be a lot of concentrate, you're not just gonna be able to drink it all in one go unless you're having a party or something like that. You can put it in the fridge. It will last. If you use the sugar, it will last in the fridge for a little while because sugar's acting as like a natural preservative. But if you went the sugar-free route, then you're probably gonna wanna freeze it. So I like to do this either way. I put them in ice cubes, kind of like what you would do with like a pesto or something that you have a lot of, that you just want to have access to easily later. Those ice cubes are actually really good portion sizes as well. So you can put the concentrate in ice cubes and then store it in the freezer in like a bag or something like that. That's the best route to go if you go the sugar-free option, but either way, that's a nice solution as well. If you went the sugar-free route, after you strain it, it's going to be fairly tart. It's not going to be that tasty on its own. So at that point, I would still store it the same way that I had just talked about. You put it in ice cubes in the freezer, And as you're making the drink, that's when I recommend you sweeten it. I mean, you can sweeten it before, but I like to do it that way because not everyone loves the same amount of stevia. I feel like that's kind of a personal preference. So I would go with whatever amount that you normally add to a drink. So if you're using like a liquid stevia, 2 to 3 drops might be a good amount of sweetener. If you're using a packet of sweetener, like the powder, then just a packet would probably be enough for you. So I don't want to give exact amounts. I have some recommendations down below, but this is really personal preference. Like, I don't like things super sweet. You might like things more sweet. You might like things less sweet than I like. So there's lots of variations, and I don't want to say it's one way or another. I'll just give you some guidelines in the recipe. And there are lots of other variations of this that you can make too. You can use this concentrate to flavor anything. So if you make kombucha or water kefir, this is a great flavor add-in. So really cool. Let me know if you do that. And if you tried in one of those combinations, let me know. And if you want this recipe and all of the others that I've shared over here on YouTube or on my website, then click the link down below. I have a free ebook for you. It lists every single recipe, the complete instructions, as well as a link to the video, so you can actually look in the recipe book or get a link back to the video whenever you want, and it's totally free. So click down in the link below and you can get access to that. And once you've done that and you're waiting for that recipe book to arrive in your inbox, check out these other videos. I'm sure you'll like them. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.